and welcome to You Better Stand Your Watch, Dr. Emmet Emery Sr. podcast. Yeah, I say a little bit different. I normally say it this time. It's beginning of the year, 2025, first podcast. I'm look forward to setting the tone for the podcast to come. So this particular podcast is going to set the tone for the podcast to come in 2025. By that, I mean that every other podcast that comes that I'll be speaking up on is going to have a connection to this first podcast. So today, we're going to talk about words matter in life communication. We'll talk about words. We're also going to talk about the tongue. So we're going to begin with the words, though. The words we choose convey our thoughts and feelings. Aside from nonverbal communication, words are the heartbeat of our relationship. When we misuse our words or trade our sentences to save time, we dishonor our relationships and ourselves. The words we use and how we use them matter immensely because they shape the way we perceive the world and participate within it. To add to this understanding is the amplifying effect technology has or has had on our words. Whether society misinterpret what you say, society add to what you say, society makes up what you say. I know over the years they call it fake news. And sometimes it's not even news. It's just twisting your words and adding to your words. It happens more with celebrities and the athletes than just the normal individual. Did you know that 93% of communication is nonverbal? 55% consists of our gestures, and 38% is our tone. Our tone, 38%. That means only 7% communication comes from actual words you speak. In 1999, Japanese scientist Dr. Masaru Emoto conducted a study on the power of the words on water. He froze water samples and then observed them under a microscope. He found that the frozen crystals were beautiful when he said positive words to the water. However, when he said negative words to the water, the frozen crystals was ugly. This study showed that words have a physical effect on matter. Words matter in the life communication. And life communication involves your workplace, your leisure place, and your home establishment. Just a few things to ensure that your words resonate with clarity and impact. First thing, do not assume individuals understand the words that you speak. Don't assume that your spouse understands what you're saying without your spouse relating back to you in some form, shape, or fashion that they understand it. Don't leave a situation where you assume that the words you spoke was understood, but yet the actions from the other individual doesn't state that it was understood. When you communicated with your kids, don't assume that they understood what you said, your words. Make sure you get some sort of communicational feedback back from them that indicates that they understood. Some kids understand and still going to do what they're going to do anyway. That goes from the way that some of the parents raise their kids. Some kids is going to acknowledge that they understand and then follow what you say. Some kids may not pick it up right away in their teens and preteens and their teens and early 20s. What you say when they was in that age, they remember when they're in their 30s and their 40s as they go forward. With your employees, make sure they understand what you are saying. Make sure they understand your words. Because if they do not understand your words, and they go into assignment and do that assignment, and they go 50 minutes to an hour into that assignment incorrectly done, it's lost a lot of time and effort because your words were not understood. Next, leave nothing to the imagination. When in doubt, communicate more than less. Communication requires more than words. Remember that. Reveal the reasoning behind your message to ensure your intent is understood. Put things in writing to avoid misunderstanding. If you got to write it down, write it down. Sometimes the only person who understands your handwriting is you, but still write it down. Summarize your thoughts once rather than sending information piecemeal. Summarize it. Don't just send it piece by piece by piece, and you expect them to just take it and put it all into section. You write a letter, or you communicate in words and say, look out. Got that? Did you hit it? Where is that? What the heck did I just say? You didn't understand nothing I just said, but I understood what I said because I delivered those words. So you got to make sure your words is understood. Next, speak to be understood rather than heard. The little thing the little comments I just made, I spoke to be heard, not to be understood. I understood it, but you didn't understand it. So I was speaking to be heard versus understood. So you need to speak to be understood rather than heard. Avoid jargon. That way you know you're going to be understood. Simplify your statements so that everyone clearly understands your message. Understand the difference in the language barriers when you're communicating. Have a form of communication to communicate with the language barrier. I'm not talking about going on TikTok or YouTube or whatever and getting those little things they got out for $15, $20 and say you understand 5, 6 different languages. I'm talking about getting you something that's going to be effective enough that you have positive communication that allows you to be on one-on-one, same page, which I'll talk about in a minute, through communication. Next, confirm that everyone is on the same page to avoid misunderstanding. That's why you want to be on the same page. You tell your curfew is at 9 o'clock. I expect you to be in the house at 10. What? So now that child thinks that the curfew is at 10 o'clock because you said you expect them to be in the house at 10. So which one is it? That's a misunderstanding. So the child come in at 9, the child come in at 10. The child come in at 9, you ticked off because the child didn't come in at 10? No, you happy child came in at 9, but the child come in at 10, you're going to be upset. Misunderstanding. Disclose problems, even small ones, before individuals discover them. You do not want those small problems to surface later, because when they surface, they might surface in a negative way versus a positive way. They may assume you are hiding something else. And the assumption you don't want to give is that you're hiding something. If you're going into a relationship and the relationship has been established and you and that individual within that relationship, well, you might want to expose some things, disclose some things right up front, but not into detail. You have to be the judge of what you expose that you think is going to have an impact upon that relationship, especially if both parties know individuals that they call friends. Because the friends is going to know some things about each one of you that might just pop up out of nowhere during conversation, during laughing, or whatever. And those are things that you might want to just bring up. You don't have to bring up previous relationship. You don't have to bring that up, because then you're causing a whole bunch of issues when you do that. But you want to disclose the small things, small issues. I have an allergy with seafood, and even if I smell the seafood, not even eat it, I go into hives. That's a small thing. Tell it like it is. Exaggerating its stay can undermine your credibility. If you don't tell it like it is, if you don't come out and just say it the way it should be presented, and you beat around the bush with it, and you try to season it a little bit and try to make it come out to the way you expect or assume the person that you're relating the information to will accept it, it's not good. Good wording. That means that you're exaggerating and you're undermining your credibility. So if you bring it out a way and you're not straightforward with it, and then it come out by someone else to being straightforward, the question going to be asked, why didn't you tell me that? And then you say, well, I told you. They're going to say, well, you didn't tell me that matter, or you didn't say it to me like that. So that means that it makes it seem like you're trying to hide something, or you feel that person couldn't accept it exactly the way it should be told. Or you felt that if you told it that way, it might cause distance or negativity from that individual to you. So you would hold it without being direct. Or you might just not be straightforward and tell it like it is, because you might feel that person can't accept it or won't accept it. But the person might be very emotional. Well, you might have to take that chance. You'd rather that person being emotional from you telling them exactly how it is versus that person getting it from someone else. And then not only that person emotional, but that person upset with you too. So now you got 2 strikes instead of 1. Not good in California because you only get 3 strikes. Be honest when you tell a lie. Yeah, I know. You probably look at me and say, wait a minute. If it's a lie, how you going to be honest? Are there good lies and bad lies? Well, be honest when you tell a lie. Everything you say in the future becomes suspect. So if you're going to tell a lie that might be positive in the future. Yeah, I know. It's 2025. You got to pick this one up. Do not tell a lie that's not honest. In other words, if you don't know how to lie, don't lie. If you're a good liar, you know what I'm talking about. If you're a bad liar, you're not going to pick this up. Just next one. Present both sides of an issue to demonstrate your objectivity. Both sides. Put yourself in the other person's position. Have the person put themselves in your position. Your child not going to understand it. I tell you that right now. You can say, well, put yourself in my position as a parent. Why would you tell a child to do that if they're not a parent? Oh, well, they're going to put themselves in your position, in their position. That means they're going to see them and you and wonder why you don't understand what the hell they're talking about. So don't do that with the child. You can do it with your spouse. You can do it with a coworker. You can do it with your employees. Put yourself in this position or put me in that position and then tell me what you think. So if I'm in that position, this is what I think. So if you put yourself in my position, what would be the outcome? What would be the solution? How will you deal with solutions? How will you respond to situations if you're in my shoes? Now, sometimes that could be difficult because I asked my wife once, put yourself in that position. If that was you, that I was, and that was me, how would you respond if you were me? Well, that's not fair because she's a woman, I'm a man. So her thought power is going to be different. Her emotions is going to be different. I might not show no emotions. She might show a lot of emotions. I might be dogmatic and aggressive, and she might be passionate and patient and outstanding from it. So you got to be careful with some things and putting people, asking them to put themselves in the same situation you in. Because especially negative. Don't ask them to do something that's negative or do something that's against their moral, against their values. And I'm a strong component. In 2024, you always heard me talk about morals and values. How I said stick to your morals and values because sometimes that's your identification tag. Morals, values, and ethics. Now, if it's non-legal, then you definitely need to stick with your values, ethics. And if it's legal, well, you can compromise with some. I didn't say lay it down. I said compromise. You can limit some of the value of your norms, values, and your ethics. That means you can compromise. Okay, so if your norm and value X is here, I'm talking with your spouse and your kids, and your norm and values ethics is here, well, I'm going to meet you halfway with yours. You meet me halfway with mine. I'm talking about the kids that's the late 20s, 30s, and older. Because those are the ones that pretty much establishing within their career, getting their life together, getting their family together, getting their things together, and moving on towards getting themselves together for retirement. So they're going to have different values, ethics, and beliefs that they was raised with. They're still going to have that base that you raised them with, but then they become their own person, so they're going to have their own values, ethics, and beliefs. So you're going to have to meet them halfway. How did I know that? Dr. Emmet, how you know all that? Well, I don't have a crystal ball, and I'm not into that fortune telling. I know from experience. I mean, I got a 38, a 35 this year, a 34 this year, and a 28-year-old child. So each child is different. Each child came at me a different way. Each child got dressed. Well, I'm not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that on this podcast. And each child was able to express their ethnic belief. And and morals. And listening to the way they expressed it to me, I still heard some of the base that they was raised with. But they're trying to find out or have found out who they are. And then I have to pray and believe that the base that I instill within them is still there. They're still the base within their kids, but their kids still going to have their own values and belief and things of that nature. But I didn't follow everything that my mom said. I looked and I observed from observation. I created my own value, ethics, and belief because I didn't want to go with the value, ethic, and beliefs that was presented before me. I didn't like it. I didn't like the environment. I didn't like any of that. So I wanted to be my own person. I wanted to do my own thing. I wanted to learn because I had a lot of experience to learn from. Fess up to mistakes. If you do something wrong, accept responsibility and try to make things right. No excuses. No excuses. It don't make any sense. If you're making excuses, the person you communicate with 9 times out of 10 knows it's excuse. And then that excuse that you're making turn into an honest lie. That means they think you're lying because your excuse. And then if you're making too many excuses, that means you become unreliable. And the individual feel that they can't come to you for assistance or help. I'm not just talking about family, I'm talking about spouse, kids, and work environment. In 2025, I'm talking about all three. I might not list them separately, but I'm always talking about all three going forward when I'm talking because all three encompasses your life. I think it's spouse, kids, and work is what I'm talking about. You have the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost within the Christian community. So it's always going to be a three. So those are my three that I'm going to hold with the forum and make sure that the producer, I remember that too, because when I forget, he need to know my three. So fessed up if you do something wrong. Accept that responsibility. Hey, I was wrong. I apologize. One thing, you can do this, but I encourage you not to do this because I learned a while ago because I was doing it. I learned a while ago not to do it because you get held to the floor with cement if you do it. Don't own up, apologize, and then say, I'll never do that again. Don't you do that because you don't know what might happen. You don't know what might be a situation, whereas you slip and you do it again. That's why the Bible says, the Christian Bible says repentance. You repent. So I don't know how well they're going to work with your spouse. You do something she don't like, you come back and you say, okay, I'm going to do it again. But sweetheart, I repent from the first time I did it. Compliment next. Compliment people in public. Compliment them. Hey, you look good. You look nice. Hey, you did a wonderful job. Hey, that's Ketchup. Ketchup is the man. Ketchup did X, Y, and Z. Compliment them in public, but provide critical feedback in private. Don't reprimand or talk bad or downgrade someone in public. You do that in private. That's between you and that individual. That's why a lot of the meetings in workplaces, when you're terminating someone or you counseling or you're coaching someone, be done behind closed doors. You shouldn't do that. Even in your household, when you're in situations where the spouse is not getting along and there's argument in the household and you have kids, little kids or preteen kids, even high school kids in the household, and you're going back and forth and you're arguing and you're bickering and you're talking bad about each other in front of the kids, making the kids make a decision to choose on which parent, whose side they're going to be on, who they're going to support. Well, I was one of them child. I ain't support neither one of them. My mom or the boyfriend. I didn't want to hear the crap. And a lot of time it ticked me off to the point that I just wanted to handle it. My friends and I would handle the mail. That's a different topic. We ain't finna get into that. That's Chicago mentality. I'm not finna get into that. Woo! I think it was a turtleneck, baby. Woo! Let that go. But you do those things in private. You guys argue in private. It's gonna be loud if you're behind closed doors, but it's not in front of the kids. It depends on what time you do it at night. At the time you do it, then the kids are here or won't hear it. All depends. But don't talk bad about someone in public. Do it in private and praise in public. Lastly, if you have nothing positive to say, hear me with this one. If you have nothing positive to say, you have a lot of people that don't have anything positive to say about people, and then they talk bad about, or they gossip about people, or they just make stuff up when they don't like an individual on what's going on, or they make the assumption that when something happened or something is said, that is negative towards that individual, and then they spread it. So it's not positive. So if you have nothing positive to say, hear me, do not say anything at all. Words. Do not say anything at all. If you don't have anything positive to say, you have anything that's going to lift that person up, you know, anything that's going to make that person's day joyfully or joyous, if you don't have anything that's going to bring positiveness to the morale of that individual, don't say nothing. Because I guarantee the individual that downgrade, talk bad, lie about an individual, that very individual cannot take it or stand it when reversed to them. They become violent, want to fight, want to argue, want to curse the person out, not understanding that they initiated it. They started it. To avoid all that mess in the workplace, in the household, don't talk bad about anyone. If you do, make sure the individual you're talking to is just going to be between you and that individual. That's it. That's why it's wise for you to have an imaginary friend that you talk to and nobody can see. Then you got to worry about that person responding back to you. All right, let me move on. Okay, the next thing I'm going to talk about is what connects to the mouth. And the connection that made between the mouth and this next thing is called the tongue. It's some things that flow off that tongue. Woo. That tongue can, woo. If it wasn't for that tongue and you went, woo. All right. The tongue is essential for speaking. Its mobility and ability to make complex movement in relation to other parts of the mouth allows us to produce different sounds and communicate verbally. I want you to understand what that tongue is before we get into this tongue. I'm not going to get into a preaching mode about the tongue. I'm not going to get into a lot of negativeness about the tongue. I'm not going to say, I'll say some positive stuff about the tongue, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on the tongue like I did with the mouth, because the mouth is pretty much words. Words is the mouth. So I'm not going to do a lot on the words. I did a lot on the words. I'm not going to do that much on the tongue. But I want you to understand that tongue is connected to that mouth, which connects to words, which connected to you. The tongue has immense power. By speaking kind and uplifting words, you can provide solace and happiness to others. This small yet influential organ has potential to foster both friendship and enemies. It can guide, dismantle, or bring joy to an individual life and to an individual career, to an individual household, to an individual personality. You have that power with your tongue to do more to an individual than you can do with your hands. Remember that. It's crucial to recognize that a single word from your tongue has the potential to trigger significant conflicts and inflict lasting damage on others. Let me read that again. Let me say that again. It is crucial to recognize that a single word from your tongue has potential to trigger significant conflict and inflict lasting damage on others. The biggest separations, well, I heard this terminology over the past few days, the killing off of an individual, whether it be family members or friends, the disconnection from an individual, whether it be families or friends, are pretty much done through the triggering significant conflict and the inflicting lasting damage of the tongue on others. I do not speak to some of my relatives because some of the things that were said to me and about me. I do not speak to some of the friends I had when I first joined the military because of some of the things that were said. Some of the words and the tongue, things that came from that tongue towards me. I would not speak. I ended a lot of relationships. Now, I don't want you to think I was in a lot of relationships with females, but I ended relationships because of some of the negative things that was said through the tongue and through words. A lot of families members are not speaking to each other because of that. A lot of spouses get into situations where they don't speak to each other because of the things that were said. A lot of kids not speaking to their parents because of the things that were said through the tongue and through words. So hear me with this. As I say this, what rolls off that tongue and symbols into words that flies off your lip, because it's not rolling off your lip when you say these things, it's flying off. Because sometimes it just fly off and you're not thinking about the consequences of saying it. You just think about the pain and hurt that you can symbol or you can put on that other individual. So that's why a lot of times you say it. But when you say it, guess what? You can't grab it back. You can't take it back. That what you said has been received. Now it said you send that email off. It said that email has been sent. Email sent. When you say them words and it comes off that tongue and roll off that lip, it's been sent and then it's received. And then that individual takes what been sent and symbols it into their form. Whether you said it and you didn't mean it the way it came out, it came out. Whether you say it and you didn't intend to say it, you said it. I don't care how many I'm sorries you say later. It's been said. That means that other individual has that there. I don't care how many I'm sorry, it was in the heat of the moment, we both said things, but it was said. And what you said had an impact upon that individual. It rolled off the tongue. That small tongue had more weight, had more influence, and was more stronger at that time than that big brain you had. So you let that small tongue control everything. And then who suffers? What part of your body organ suffers after you let that roll off your tongue? Your mind, your brain, because you're thinking about it. Your heart. Oh my God, I'm hurting, blah, blah, blah. Well, you hurt the person who rolled off your tongue. Now you're feeling the pain of it. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? Because you didn't take the time to take that step back, think about what you was going to say, before you symbol the words here, and then you lift your tongue, open your mouth, let them words come out across your lips. You can't say, well, you're a bad person, then run, try to catch it before the other person receive it. No, it doesn't work that way. Once it leave, it's gone. I'm going to stop beating that horse. That horse never dies because you got people that constantly do that. So the impact of harsh words from your tongue can be shattering, leaving lasting scars on an individual for lifetime. Some kids have not in their 60s and still haven't gotten past some of the things their parents said to them, whether it be a father or a mother. They haven't gotten past it. The best friends, childhood friends, still one individual have not gotten past some of the things that were said. Negative, positive. Negative, not positive, but negative. So it has a lifetime impact upon an individual. And sometimes when an individual is hurt from words that came from an individual, sometimes they don't let the individual know that they hurt them. So the individual never have a chance to apologize because it probably won't be accepted anyway because the individual held that in. But if you were close, then you probably can sense there was something wrong or that something was said or that something happened to cause that disconnection. If you wasn't, you're not going to know and you're not going to care. Therefore, learning to use your tongue with wisdom and compassion is a skill of immeasurable value. The study titled The Effects of Positive Self-Statements on Psychological Stress and Physical Health was conducted by Aaliyah J. and published in the journal Psychosomatic Medicine in 2009. The study found that people who meditated on positive, affirming statements had lower levels of stress and anxiety and higher levels of happiness and well-being. The participants in the study were divided into two groups. One group was given a list of positive, affirming statements to meditate on, such as, I'm loved, I'm doing my best, I'm worthy of good things. The other group was given a list of neutral statements to meditate on, such as, the sun is shining, and I'm breathing in and out. Well, Crudo's study is just one of many that suggests that the tongue has a powerful influence on our psychological and physical health. That's right. You can actually make someone sick from some of the things you say to them. You can actually kill someone with some of the things you say to them. You say, how can I kill someone with words? How can I kill someone with my tongue? Well, you can cause an individual to commit suicide for some of the things that you say and do. Or you can cause an individual to go into a state of depression and then fall into PTSD and kill them physically where they can't function properly. After 8 weeks, the participant who had meditated on the positive, affirming statements reported feeling significantly better than those who had meditated on the neutral statements. They had lower levels of stress and anxiety and higher levels of happiness and well-being. The Bible teaches us to speak words of encouragement, praise, instruction, and truth. Proverbs 18:21 tells us, death and life are in the power of the tongue, and they that love it shall eat the fruit thereof. The Quran emphasizes the importance of speaking good works. It encourages us to speak the truth, be beneficial to others, and be cautious in what we say. In chapter 55, it talks about how he created mankind and taught him the power of expression and speech. In Buddhist philosophy, speaking with mindfulness involves considering the following principles. Truthfulness, speak factual and true words. Kindness, speak with good will and kindness. Youthfulness, choose words that are helpful and beneficial. And peace, avoid harmful or divisive language. In Hinduism, speaking words with meaning and delightful to hearers is important. Well-spoken speech is productive of many beneficial results, while ill-spoken speech can cause evil. However, in a certain situation, speaking lies may be necessary to save good people. I guess that's that honest lie. So we have talked about words and how words can affect you. And then we talked about the attribute or contribute to words, which is the tongue, and the effect that it has upon words and has upon individuals, society, situations, things of that nature. So thank you for tuning in today. Listen to this first podcast of 2025. So I'll leave you with this. You was very important to me, all my followers, subscribers in 2024. And I appreciate you. I look forward to you being as important in 2025 as you were in 2024, plus any new followers or subscribers. Therefore, subscribe to me. Thank you. Until we meet again, God bless. Goodbye.